As we're all aware, lockdown in its most basic form is just about being at home, staying away from other people, and trying to preoccupy ourselves on a daily basis. Doesn't sound so hard, right? What have you found easy about lockdown?
Um,
All of it.
You're the first person to tell me that you find it easy.
Lockdown, personally, has not been so much of a struggle for me. I really don't mind not having to go out anywhere, particularly as I live a bit further away to my friends, and it can be quite annoying to have to drive to the office around 25-30 miles there and another back, and then of an evening or of a weekend to come back and then go back out again. So chilling at home is kind of nice.
There's no commute.
Clear
Like,
roads.
there's no one on the train. There's no waiting. The roads are clear. It's obviously people are walking around, but it's quiet. It's calmer. People are kind of just more zen. I've learned how to enjoy doing nothing. Like, easy isn't the right word, but I've kind of been able to enjoy my own time with no other. Like, I've made the most of what I've got. And like my relationship with my boyfriend's obviously become better because that's definitely a make or break. We've been definitely learning a lot about each other and kind of enjoying the nothingness.
uni work has been very easy. You know, it's not a stressful thing anymore. It used to be a really stressful thing because I had like so many other things going on. I had a social life to maintain as well. As I obviously didn't go out, so I think one time in the past 6 or 7 weeks where I've got drunk. I think that's been the best thing, and saving money as well. Oh my god, I've never saved so much money in my life. Like, it's because mother's paying for everything.
Not spending so much money, you know, not going out on the jolly with the boys, so saving myself a little bit of money, which is exciting, because when all this is over, I'm going to hopefully go on holiday. That'd be, oh man, I just want to go away.
It was quite easy to like transfer some sort of routine over, but sticking to that routine hasn't necessarily been the easiest.
But for some, it's just not that simple, in particular for Eileen. Last year, Eileen underwent chemotherapy treatment for blood cancer, and as a result now has a compromised immune system. This has made things a little bit more complicated at home. How has the situation kind of, I guess, been a bit different for you, obviously, with your sort of situation?
I got a text from the government saying, you're at high risk of a severe infection. You can't go outside at all. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And then I got another text a couple of days later saying I was meant to further isolate from my own family indoors. That hasn't really worked very well. Like, we live in a house, I've got that space too, but it's still difficult. I don't know how people who are living alone are doing this because I can't stay away from people. It's difficult. I need social interaction, like face to face. So at least I've got my family for that, but it's gonna be harder for other people. There's also quite a lot of anxiety surrounding it. Like, obviously we have a dog, so the dog has to be taken out for a walk. Yeah. And then when my dad comes back, I'm like, oh my god, what I'm seeing? He got it somehow, and he doesn't know, and now he's the carrier. I think practically speaking, he's staying really far away from people when he's out anyway. We live near like a nature park, so you can stay away from people when you're walking. My mum is a teacher, and she was meant to go in to work still because they've got like 5 students in from key workers, and she's emailed the head teacher and said, I'm not coming in. It's not safe. It's not viable with someone else in my house being high risk. I have got a 9-month checkup soon to see if I'm still in remission or not. I had to go in for my blood test still, but the level of security to just get into a hospital is insane. I had to be sent to a hospital further away because it was one where there wasn't an A&E, so there was no COVID cases there because there wasn't an intensive care. On the door, I had to show to a security guard who was 3 tables apart with a barrier and everything, the blood test forms and everything, and my appointment time and a text I got, and I got like interviewed about like if I had a cough or any symptoms before going in. Obviously, you can't socially distance for a blood test. If they can avoid any contact at all, they will. It makes sense because, again, we are the more vulnerable people, and they really don't want us getting ill, because if we get ill, we are out of action. We are in hospital in the intensive care ward, possibly on ventilators. If they can keep us safe, it puts so much less strain on like the NHS in general.
What kind of extra precautions are you taking at home? And I mean, obviously you said like your dad is like obviously trying to ensure that he's like social distancing when he walks the dog and everything. But I mean, obviously like your family have to like do the shopping and things like that. And, you know, maybe you might have deliveries coming in here and there.
I don't go near the door. I'm not allowed near the front door if someone else is at the front door. And like with shopping and stuff, I get sent upstairs until they've brought it all in, washed their hands, and washed anything that can be washed. I mean, it's all you can really do. And also, if anyone's been outside at all, they come in and they have to wash their hands.
And it's not even just the physical aspects of this virus that's taken its toll on us. Being at home this much is difficult. What are you finding hardest about lockdown?
First couple of weeks were pretty tricky. I kind of rely on the band and my social life to keep me afloat mentally. And the first couple of weeks were hard. Kind of just drinking too much and smoking too much. But, you know, everyone adjusts. It's an adjustment period.
Yeah.
I don't work well at home, and at uni I never work in the flat because I just really struggle to concentrate, and I'm kind of reliant on the library. So it's really hard having to like work in my bedroom and then also go to sleep in my bedroom.
I'm not getting as much done as I would be if lockdown wasn't happening. But I mean, like, I feel like that's with everyone, so I'm not being too harsh on myself, you know. At uni, I just do whatever I want, whenever I want. Because my parents are very, they love stuff like being, like, organised. So this time we do this, and this time we do that. It's getting back into that, like, schedule and eating at certain times where I'm just like, oh, rather not eat right now, kind of thing.
I think my mum wouldn't mind me saying sometimes it's quite tricky, you know, being around family this much. You know, I'm sure every family on the planet is going through the exact same thing. What's a nice word? It's too much of a good thing, exactly.
I love my family, but I hate seeing their faces now.
Dating life's a bit tricky. Kind of life felt like it was starting to get really good, and I was just really starting to love so many aspects of things going on for me, and just having to take a break from them, but they'll be back.
I mean, a huge thing generally that's probably changed is the fact I can't see my family. That I think has been the hardest thing.
Not seeing my friends, definitely.
The hardest thing, you know, not seeing mates, because I'm a very social person.
Literally just seeing my friends. I like to be out of the house, seeing people, talking, just chilling. And I can't do that.
I really, really, really miss my friends. I have a friend who literally lives like opposite the road to me, and the most I've been able to see her is I've poked my head out the window and said hello when she walked past for like her daily walk of the day or something. It's insane.
Just not being able to actually see the people that I care about. For all good technology is, there's something missing from doing it virtually than being able to see people in person.
It's understandable that you may want to criticise these people who actually seemingly don't have things too bad. But I know firsthand just how difficult it can be when you're stuck at home and isolated from other people for prolonged periods of time. For a brief period last year, I went through some issues of anxiety that largely had a lot to do with being at home for prolonged periods of time. Luckily, I've worked through some of my issues. But just because you or me are equipped to deal with things, doesn't mean that everyone is. What we have to remember is that our specific situation is not the same for everyone. We need to look out for those people who struggle to deal with matters themselves, especially when they're on their own. How is, like, obviously your grandma dealing with things, obviously with like her husband and everything?
Oh yeah, it's really hard. It is. It sucks to them, you know, they have to isolate, they can't see anyone, obviously.
Yeah.
Properly isolate, and I feel terribly sorry for them. My dad's been amazing with like looking after them, like he brings them food like every day. My sister and I brought her a couple of things here and there, and just like stood at the end of the driveway, just waving. And it's really hard seeing them and not being able to give them a hug, because I do really miss them and I'm a bit worried about them, but they're being very strong.
What kind of reactions have you got from the elderly people that you were helping whilst you were doing the Meals on Wheels? How have they been finding things?
My impression of it, the ones who have said so are incredibly grateful for the Meals on Wheels that we do deliver. Some of the other ones don't necessarily express that gratitude, but you get the sense that they might be quite lonely. You know, on some days I'd have up to 8-9 people to deliver to, and I'd want to make sure that they all managed to get it around lunchtime. Some of the elderly people, they do want a chat. They don't necessarily see anybody for the rest of that day, or talk to anybody for the rest of that day, and it can be quite sad, but you have to take a few minutes to talk to them, otherwise they just don't get that contact.
Before lockdown started, I was seeing a counsellor on a weekly basis, which evidently turned into sessions over the phone. For someone like me who doesn't have things so bad, that was absolutely fine. But it becomes a real problem for people whose struggles are a lot greater than my own, who need their daily routine to stay sane, or who don't have access to the kinds of services that I was so fortunate enough to have. And these are the people that we need to be more aware of and sensitive towards. I'm thankful that the people I interviewed for this are all seemingly doing alright. How are you staying positive throughout all of this?
This is all shit. This sucks so much. But you know what? Things could be a lot worse. And I literally just think, whenever I start complaining in my mind, I literally think, at least you're not dying. And I also think what's important to accept is this whole thing's going to be over before you know it. We're all going to look back on this and think, what a short period of our lives.
It's difficult to stay positive, but I know it's necessary to. So I'm just trying to look for the bright side in everything. Bad things happen, but to have the tools to deal with them, you need to have a good mindset. That is fundamental at the moment.
Just literally thinking that it's all going to be okay in the end, and that, I will go back to uni and I will be able to film all films and do all that kind of stuff and live my life how I want to. I'm hopeful because you should be. If it's like a situation like this and you're not hopeful, then you're really just going to suffer through it.
I think the general kind of worry is a bit wasted. It doesn't achieve much. You can't do anything with it. I mean, of course I am worried because I don't know what the future holds, but I'm not particularly thinking about it too much because my thoughts aren't going to change what happens. Being in regular contact with my friends is absolutely getting me through. I speak to them every day. If I weren't doing that, then I probably would be losing my mind a little. And also, one exercise per day is definitely beneficial. I think that if I weren't allowed out of the house at all, then after a few days I'd be struggling.
I've been writing with the guys. I'm staying with my girlfriend, so that's keeping me sane. She's looking after me, which is great. Yeah, I think it's kind of just putting it into perspective that everyone's in the same boat and people are losing their lives, and we're fortunate enough to not be affected by the coronavirus in my house. So I consider myself lucky in that regard. It's looking like it's going to be this way for a bit longer than we expected, so it's kind of just time to come to terms with that and just make the best of a really horrible situation.
Is having the sort of the future plans with your band and everything that you're working on, is that helping you get through as well?
100%. We weren't sure if we were going to get any music out during lockdown. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to make it work. It took us a while to get our heads around it, but now that the ball's rolling on that, that's definitely keeping me sane and very excited for the future.
I try not to look too much into the future. I think in circumstances such as these, that doesn't really help. I think with these kind of things, you have to take it like day by day. Uni work has actually, and I hate to say it, but uni work has actually really helped because I'm actually using my brain and focusing on something, and there's some sort of goal that I'm focusing on. But also, I think the fact that Enzo and I were all experiencing the same thing, so I have quite a good support network. So that's kind of, it's helped a lot.
Initially, it was very difficult because I was feeling really not great. I think I was feeling very kind of a bit lost. So initially, what I literally did was speak out loud. So I went with my boyfriend, I wrote things down, and I went on a walk with my boyfriend a couple of weeks ago, and I literally was like, right, let's list off positive things. Let's list off what stuff is good. And obviously not every day you feel great. You're not going to feel, there are going to be days that I know everyone, and including myself, feel low. Like, I've had some really shit, kind of like, ugh, I feel shit, I'm tired, I'm done. I can't put pressure on myself for that reason, but I almost want it to be that we look back at this time, because it's very unlikely, and I hope it really doesn't happen again, but it's unlikely we're going to have this much time that the whole world's going to shut down. And, like, I definitely want to look back in retrospect and be able to talk about it and be like, right, what did I do with my time? Like, what positive things, or what did I do that I can look back on and be like, oh, actually, wow, like, I had this time.
At the end of the day, we all need to remember that this is a team effort. Every little thing we do can have a massive impact on those around us. We don't know how long this is going to last, but by ensuring our actions are keeping each other safe, it will mean that we can get through this a lot sooner. We're finally looking out for our fellow man. We're talking about the distribution of wealth and resources in everyday conversation. We're appreciating those that up until now have gone virtually unnoticed. And we're trying our best to look out for those that are most vulnerable in society. It shouldn't have had to take a pandemic to get us here, but we're at a point where humanity is actually looking hopeful. Now we just need to remember what we've learned and continue this new perspective I think we've all gained in this harrowing time. Do you have any kind of final thoughts or words of wisdom you would want people to hear?
We need to pull together as a whole planet, really. Think about each other and the risk that you're putting not just to yourself, but to everybody around you. Do whatever you can to be able to help those in need.
It is a dark time, but as long as we can all stick together, we can see there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know where the end of the tunnel is yet, but there's going to be one.
Things will get better. I think it's all about patience. Just try and look after yourself. I think at this point in time, the most important thing is to look after yourself and your mind. Don't compare yourself to other people, because everyone's going through their own things.
You know, when this whole thing is over, a lot of people are going to be struggling or have been struggling throughout this whole thing. Let's all just try and be kind to one another.
Don't be a dick. Stay home.
Don't come to A&E if you don't need to.
Just keep out doing what you're doing, people, and don't let the bastards get you down.
Really good note to end on. Cool, thank you so much, mate.
No worries, Dan.